Last episode we finished with Garibaldi getting plastered and ordering a pizza. So today we pick up with him wandering through a destroyed Zocalo. Either a dream sequence, or he made the mistake of piloting before he sobered up. Still could go either way. Dr. Franklin's the only one left, though not for long, as he gets shot by another Garibaldi. Then he gets enveloped by a table and wakes up too.
I've decided to stop hiding what the Vorlons did to me. I'm testing to see what I can do.
That's kind of a dick move, doing that without asking permission first, just because you have the ability to. I was born with hands. That does not give me the right to go around grabbing asses with them, does it? She makes him think it's a dream. That's my assumption anyway. Him dreaming that she's plotting to use her powers against him seems pretty unlikely, and let's face it, JMS has not done subtlety when it comes to dreams. He pulls his PPG when the door opens, only to discover that it's actually Lise, flown all the way out here from Mars to check up on him. She can tell something is up. For one thing, he doesn't sleep this late, and he looks kind of crap. But we've no time to get into his fall inside of the bottle. Lenier is calling up Delenn to talk about his recon mission. There have been 3 more attacks, no survivors, no witnesses, and they seem to be at random. However, he has picked up Centauri signals before the attacks, which, given their suspicions, might be instructions to launch the attacks. But they should see about cracking it to make sure. The Centauri are too important to risk offending over something that they might not be responsible for. I mean, they're not happy being blamed for the shit they actually do. During that, Sheridan listens in like he's Polonius, so he knows that something is up. Meanwhile, Lita is trying to sell a company on a ship for telepaths to go out into the galaxy on their behalf. But he's a tough sell. It's not that he doesn't like the idea. The problem is, the Psi Corps is a bit persnickety when it comes to rogue telepaths. If he does this, they'll lose all their legitimate telepaths, and that just isn't worth what Lita is offering. He makes clear he's not unsympathetic to letting telepaths settle somewhere, but she's got to find someone who's got a lot of resources, but no dependency upon the Psi Corps. So she makes an appointment with Jakar. We'll come back to that. Lando's getting an update from Veer about his schedule, only it's pretty thin. A whole bunch of appointments with the other races have been canceled. Stuff that has nothing to do with the Alliance, just normal diplomatic things. It's a puzzler, but Veer notes to see this glass is half full. Lando has the day off. Except he doesn't know what to do with it. He doesn't gamble anymore, not when every day is a risk already. Maybe he can go to the strip club if he can get a wingman.
What you need most right now is a dose of normality.
Garibaldi it is, then. Well, when she's cleaning up, what does she find? Something that definitely shouldn't be there. And Garibaldi is trying to figure out how to play this under the gun. Ironically, a few glasses would give him the confidence to navigate this successfully. Hey, there's nothing wrong with the occasional shot of a quality spirit, and there's nothing finer than 12-Toe Billy's bathtub swill. You know, Wednesday was a very good year. Well, Lise is not willing to listen to reason. Reason being, yes, twice I descended into self-crapping alcoholism, but 3rd time's the charm.
To try to understand that I have had my mind messed with by Bester. I was captured by the Mars Resistance, and I was within an inch of being executed, and there was nothing that I could do about it.
I'm sorry.
I don't want you to be sorry.
Oh, good Lord. This is not the time to play offense, Garibaldi. No. This is a defensive war you are fighting. This is a strategic withdrawal you are trying to avoid turning into a full-on rout. Don't try to be a hero. Garibaldi insists that what's different this time is that because his life is good, he's fully in control, and he accepts her challenge of no booze while she's on the station. I await the wacky hijinks. Meanwhile, Lenier has a theory the Centauri have a hidden base related to these raids, and he might have a means of locating it. Except, they've been recalled to Babylon 5 by Sheridan, who at that very moment is having firm words with Delenn.
Now, it is absolutely inappropriate of you to pull a stunt like that without telling me. I cannot have you making...
You are right.
See, Garibaldi, that's what a well-considered strategic withdrawal looks like. Because not only does Delenn pull the wind out of his sails with that maneuver, then, taking advantage of his confusion, pivots to, now it's your turn to apologize. Guys, watch and learn. This is the frickin' Austerlitz of fighting with your wife. The point turns out to be moot, because rather than being recalled, Lenier takes the ship out without permission and shuts things down so they can't find him. He's following the tachyon signal that should lead to the hidden Centauri base. Hopefully. Or he'll die of lack of oxygen. Or embarrassment. One of those two. Back on B5, we pick up that Lita plot from the beginning, because she finally meets up with G'Kar. As they note, the two haven't actually met face to face since the gathering, when G'Kar asked about acquiring her telepathic DNA, and possibly sampling it with the little Jaquan. She says that she has decided, 6 years later, to accept the proposition.
Which part?
After all you've been through, G'Kar, I am amazed by your boundless optimism. Lita offers all the telepathic DNA they need, provided they get a big check, 5 ships, and let this whole thing stay a secret. Something to think about. Meanwhile, Garibaldi takes Lise out to eat, talking about how so many people have come and gone and he's practically the only one left here, and sounds like he's planning on staying, despite Lise wanting him to come back to Mars already. You know, they've got a corporation to run now that her evil mastermind husband is dead. This is a rough conversation, but luckily, Garibaldi has found a way to make it more interesting. He pours hooch from a hip flask into his coffee. 200 IQ move. Now she can talk about anything that's going to be fascinating. Yes, dear. Lavender and shamrock green. Well, isn't that the bee's knees? Of course you had to get one of each for the guest bathroom. Go on. Meanwhile, Maria calls up to say that they still haven't found Lenier, and the problem is that even with meditation, he's going to be on the cusp of exhausting his oxygen by now. For real this time. Luckily, Lenier comes across a Centauri ship and is able to latch on and suck away oxygen from it like some kind of tick. So that saves him. But whether or not Sheridan is safe is another matter. Delenn is looking pretty distraught that Lenier is likely dead, and Sheridan has to tiptoe very carefully in saying, "Don't blame yourself," for fear of it becoming, "Of course not, I blame you." Right now, she doesn't accept that Lenier is dead, so we're putting this one into overtime. Well, Londo gets woken up in the middle of the night by an even less friendly face from someone back on Centauri Prime, who's finally passing along that Sheridan suspects the Centauri are behind the attacks on the shipping lanes. Londo can't imagine why Sheridan would think something so preposterous, but the suggestion is made that someone like, for example, the Narn, who have access to the technology they left behind when they pulled out, could launch these attacks and make it look like the Centauri are behind it. After all, there are lots of Narn who despise them for the, carrying out an inept genocide against them. On the subject of the Narn, G'Kar wants to see Lita about the deal. He says they agree to pretty much all the terms, but they want something more. Listen in on the thoughts of the other ambassadors and keep the Narn informed on what's going on. Lita says, no. It's a bridge too far. Poking Garibaldi's head while he's dreaming is one thing, but there's got to be a line. Fortunately, G'Kar was testing her, seeing if she would cross the line, and says that there is no such condition. We're happy to have a deal. So, happy ending. Well, it's ending anyway. Lenier is still attached and uses this as an opportunity to record footage of the attack, then drifts into the debris field to hide until he can get picked up. Delenn's reaction, not what I would have expected. We'll call it a win. Lenier gives Sheridan the proof they've been looking for. Now the question is what to do with this proof. The answer is clear.
I have something I want to show you. And after that, we're going to need you like we've never needed you before.
I guess it's a good thing I'm at the top of my game. Well, word does get around, and Veer reports to Londo that this big meeting is happening, which means the attacker has been found, except Londo is the only one not invited to the meeting. Because as Garibaldi tells Lise, this is going to wind up being a war against the Centauri. Darkness Ascending is very important, as it is the moment that the Centauri's role is confirmed. I give this a stamp of fine, even though it's more essential and has forward progress. It didn't have nearly the same power in the moments that Meditations on the Abyss had. And Garibaldi's alcoholism is uncomfortable to watch. I know the argument would likely be that it's supposed to be, but it makes it harder to like him. What jumped out at me by the end is the notable absence here. Lockley. Matter of fact, aside of Day of the Dead, she has been completely absent from the show since the end of the telepath arc, which further demonstrates that she was here for that arc pretty much exclusively. She can sit this one out for the most part. It just seems like this is something that she really should have been in the loop on. Yeah, it's alliance business, but when the ambassador's here, you can be sure that it's not going to stay quiet. And besides it being good for her to know what's going on, she's going to be miffed if random flunkies in the diplomatic corps find out before her. Bringing Lita and Jakar back together was enjoyable and shows how they've both changed. Her hunger for something and his shift from ambition to mere pragmatic acknowledgement. Overall, it's perfectly serviceable B5 that sets up our next episode, And All My Dreams Torn Asunder.